Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are live. If you can hear me okay, just let me know in the chat. We're going to get going right away because we need to understand what type of salary we need to earn in order to purchase a home in McKinney. So that's the big reveal. That's the big objective for us today. What salary is necessary to purchase a home in McKinney? We're going to look at various factors. We're going to look at the real estate available in McKinney. We're going to look at property taxes. I'm going to show you how to calculate depending on the loan that you're getting. And also, for sure, we're going to cover how much you're going to need to make in order to actually be able to afford a home in McKinney, Texas. So if that sounds like a lot of fun, it's because it is. But if it sounds like something that you're interested in, let me know in the chat. And also, feel free to hit that like button because it's going to really help us get this out to more people. So let me make sure that our audio is correct. All right, sounds like it is. So as you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Today we are addressing the salary question, how much we actually need to earn in order to afford a home in McKinney. So that, again, is our big task for today. Now we're going to break it down step by step so you're able to replicate this wherever it is that you're looking to purchase in McKinney. Also, truth be told, you can do this for other cities. I'm going to show you exactly how we go about finding all of these numbers, finding the exact salaries and everything that is linked. Everything that we're going to cover today, all the resources, the calculators, the comparison tools, everything is linked down below for you to check out. So with that being said, it's time for us to get to work. With that being said, the first thing that we need to look at is the real estate in McKinney. So one of the first things that I want you to do if you're following along is go to altos.re. And you're going to see this website. You're going to see what the real estate market is right now, present day in McKinney. This is going to give you a good snapshot of where it is, where it's been historically, and also gives you some idea of where it could potentially go. So here again, it's Altos, ALTOS, which is real estate market data that is current, that is available in real time. So you see the market index, whether it's a buyer's market or seller's market at the present time. So slight seller's advantage is what this barometer, this temperature gauge is giving us. So you have the median list price, median days on market, average days on market, the inventory, median rent, and a ton of other things. So it gives you a good understanding of the McKinney current real estate market, what it's doing. Now, a chart that I think is very helpful in understanding kind of where real estate prices are is the median list price. So you see here, it goes back 5 years where homes in McKinney were about $400,000 on average, or the median list price was $400,000. Then we saw a huge spike in 2022 because of the lower interest rates. 2021, 2022, you saw a spike, and then you saw a rapid decline because of higher interest rates, higher mortgage interest rates is what caused this. And now we're still seeing a big of a rise over here as rates started dipping just slightly. So this gives you an idea again where everything has been going and where it currently is. So you have a good idea of what that looks like. All right, so sorry, just let me check one more thing. Cool. All right. Now, one of the really big valuable things in this particular website, and the reason that we actually use this tool, the Altos tool, is because it breaks the real estate market, specifically in McKinney, down into 4 segments. So it gives you the top tier, the second tier, the third tier, and the fourth tier. Now, I say that when it comes to prices. I'm not saying that one's better than the other. Only you are going to be able to determine that. But we're talking about different various segments. Now, the best way to use this particular tool and the best way to break these segments down is according to your home needs. This is a really good snapshot of if you have a certain requirement. Let's say you need 4 bedrooms, and that's an absolute necessity, and you need at least 2 baths or 2.5 baths. Well, that means you need a certain type of home. Well, if you go over here and look at the second segment here, you need a budget roughly $735,000. Now, does this mean that you can't buy a home that has 4 beds, 3 baths for less than that? No, it doesn't mean that. It's the average. So it's a representation of the quartile. So with that being said, you see here this type of home that you might be needing 4 beds, 3 baths, and let's say you need over 2,500 square feet, well, it's going to cost you about $735,000 on average. It could be more, it could be less. It really does depend on the type of property that you purchase. It could be a home that might need a little bit of love, that might need a little bit of some rehabbing. Well, that you might be able to purchase it at a bit of a discount in terms of an average. So that's how you go about viewing that. All right, so now that we know the type of real estate that we can purchase in McKinney, now we start looking at some numbers. Now we start looking at some facts here. So here we see that if we need 4 beds, 3 baths, you're generally looking at an average home size of, let's say, 2,800, almost 2,900 square feet, and it's going to cost $735,000 to purchase this type of home in McKinney. So that is a number that we're going to use through the rest of our video today. So $735,000, that is what we're shooting for. Now, every single step, everything that we're going to talk about today, it's going to be reflected off of this price. Now, if you're looking to purchase in McKinney, you're going to be able to replicate every single step here. Every single step. The only thing that you're going to need to do is change the $735,000 to $545,000 if you have this type of need, or $380,000 if you have this type of need. So you're going to be able to replicate it the exact same way, just changing a few numbers here and there, and it's mostly going to be the median price. All right, so what I like to do, and we're going to have to go very quickly here because we don't like spending too much time in this particular segment, but also for whatever reason, my software, as soon as we start looking at homes, it flips out on me. So you might need to go, so we're going to go a little bit quicker for that part of the video today. So what we're going to do is we're going to see the types of homes. We're not going to go room by room, obviously, but we're going to give you a realistic expectation of the type of home that's available for $735,000. That's what we're budgeting at this moment. So let's just say 700 is the low end. What was it? I'm sorry. 735. Okay. And we'll cap it at 750. There might not be as many homes in this particular price range, but we're going to see. Okay, we have a good size. All right, so you see McKinney over here. Let me move myself for a quick second so you see the types of homes that we're talking about. Now again, this is just a visual representation to give you a rough, and I mean super rough viewing of the types of homes that we're talking about, because $735,000 is going to look radically different in every single market. So if you're in McAllen as an example, for $735,000 you're buying a mansion. If you're in Los Angeles, you are not buying a mansion. You are buying a 2-bed, 2-bath, right? So it's real estate, location. So you've heard that millions of times before. All right, so this gives you an idea of the types of homes that are available in this price range. So you're looking at, this is roughly 700. You see a lot of new construction actually, which does not surprise me. There's a lot of new construction happening in McKinney. You have just about every reputable builder up in McKinney developing out a ton of homes. So this is just, again, a very visual representation, very quick representation of the types of homes that are available. You see 750,000. So this is actually below the median size. Over here, you see this is substantially higher than the median size. So what this tells you is that this is probably an older home, and you know that that's true given the mature tree up front, and versus a new home. This over here, 3,700 square feet, $742,000. Again, you're going to go through this, so just go to JaimeResendiz.exprealty.com if you want to see this exact breakdown, but also you can go to the link in the description. It's going to give you the list of preferred homes so you get an idea of what they look like. Now, let's get moving. Again, we're not going to spend most of our time, any more time looking at property. Let's get to the math. Let's get to the numbers. Let's find out what the salary is going to look like, what we need to be earning in order to purchase a home in McKinney. That's our objective for today, but we're going to learn a lot of cool things along the way that you're going to be able to replicate in your specific home search, in your specific, whether you're investing, whether it's your first home, whether it's your second home, whether you're a downsizing buyer or an upsizing or moving up buyer, you're going to be able to do the exact same thing. So first things what we're going to do is we're going to go to this tool called the Loan Clarity Advisor. This is a tool that was created by Win the House You Love, Kyle Seagraves. So Kyle Seagraves is a phenomenal creator. He has a YouTube channel called Win the House You Love. This is the tool that he created. This is the tool that we actually use in-house with all of our clients. We go through different scenarios on what it would look like to purchase in a specific area. So whenever we do buyer discovery calls, we take this tool and we apply it to each specific situation. So all of our clients are not flying blind and know how to make more educated financial decisions as they're learning about this real estate journey. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we are gonna use just some ballpark estimates. I'm gonna show you how to really fine tune it to this specific area. To again, McKinney, we're talking only McKinney right now, and we're addressing the question of purchasing a home for $735,000, which is a 4-bed, 3-bath on average, and almost 2,900 square foot home. Now, you may be wondering, well, Jaime, why didn't we use $545,000? The biggest reason that we go with this particular segment is not because of the price, but it's because of the house. Most of our clients are looking for 4 beds. Most of our clients are looking for a 4-bedroom, either because they're looking to put an office in that 4th bedroom, or typically whenever you're looking at a home of this size, especially, you're already looking at an additional office or a flex room that they're going to be able to use as either a second office or their primary office. So a lot of folks are looking for that additional space because many individuals now are working from home, right? So that's why essentially it's the bedroom count. It has nothing to do with the price. It's just a place where we start based off of what our clients are asking for at this time. And that's what they're asking for the most scenarios, or the most amount of times. All right, so now we're putting the purchase price. So again, we're assuming we're going to purchase this property, $735,000, and we need to see how much we need to earn in order to afford that. All right, so our goal right now is to purchase a home for $735,000. So we need to understand what type of payment let me rephrase that. We need to understand what type of loan we're going to be eligible for, and also what the monthly mortgage payment is going to be. So I'm going to show you exactly how to calculate that. Before we go into property insurance and HOA, we need to talk about mortgage payments. And let's not super complicate this. Let's just understand 4 elements of the mortgage payment. The first element of a mortgage payment, so whatever you pay at the every single month, the first element is the principal, how much you are borrowing. So you're going to be paying down the principal with every single month. Now, at the beginning of your journey, the beginning of your payments, you're not paying a ton towards principal. Sorry to break it to you. You're going to be paying a majority of the money at the beginning is going to go towards the interest. So how much the bank is charging you for that particular loan. So first part of the loan, first part of the mortgage is the principal itself, how much you borrowed. The second part of the loan is the interest, how much the bank is charging you. So that's the cost of money. The third part of the mortgage, so every single month you're making a mortgage payment. The third part of the mortgage is going to be your property taxes. In Texas, you have some of the highest property taxes in the entire country. Now, a huge trade-off is that you don't have state income tax, which is really cool. But at the same time, you're paying that property tax in most scenarios within that mortgage payment. Now, if you put enough money down, you're going to be able to, you don't have to pay your property taxes every single month. You can pay them in lump sum by yourself without necessarily using the mortgage servicer that is servicing your loan. But let's not complicate it. I'm just giving you some additional context. So let's keep going. So you have the property taxes. And then the fourth component is your home insurance. When you purchase a home, especially with the help of a bank, if you're not paying cash, you're using a bank, you're using an institution to lend you that money in order for you to turn around and say, hey, here's the money to the homeowner. So they're going to require you to do that fourth thing. They're going to require you to do a lot of things, but they're going to require you to add that for the fourth thing, the home insurance. So They really don't care what home insurance it is. It just needs to be adequately. It needs to cover enough of replacement value. It needs to cover enough liability. So in the event something happens to the property, the bank is not eating that entire cost along with yourself. You also are protecting yourself. But anyway, those are the 4 parts of the mortgage. So you have the principal itself, how much you're borrowing, the interest, how much it costs you to borrow that money, the property taxes, which again are some of the highest in the country, and then the home insurance. Right? So it's important to understand those 4 things, because of these 4, the principal, let's say if it's a 30-year loan, you eventually pay that back. So that can go away. The interest, well, if you pay that loan off, then that goes away. Property taxes never goes away. You're paying property taxes forever and for always. As long as you own that property, you're paying property taxes. And home insurance, once you pay your property off, you can technically not insure it. You can let go of the home insurance. I do not advise that you do that. Don't mishear me. I do not advise that you do that, but technically you can. So technically, the only thing that stays on that property forever and for always is the property taxes. But as just my friendly advice is keep that home insurance going in the event of a catastrophe. All right, so I know that we took a long detour there, but hopefully we have a little bit of a better understanding of where these numbers are going to come from and why they're so important that we understand this right here, this property taxes. Folks, this is one of the biggest reasons, especially in recent years, of why so many clients, we advised them, well, not whether, we did advise our clients and other folks that ended up hired us because they needed to sell their house fast, because the property taxes just got so high on them that they could not afford the home. So they got into a loan that maybe was already stretching them. And by the time that 2nd, 3rd, 4th year came around and the property values, you saw what happened to the property values just skyrocketed. If you bought a home for $468,000 and now your home is valued $620,000, that's a lot of difference in property taxes, right? So that's something that we need to be aware of. And that's why we do so much with education. That's why we're making this specific video and we format it the way that we do, because you need to have this information, because a lot of folks don't know this. A lot of folks aren't told this. So I'd much rather you have this information ahead of time than once you're in a loan and are barely making it, only to find out that the following year, you have to pay $200 more a month, $300 more a month. That's a real serious concern. All right, let's continue going. So property taxes. We start off with 1.8 because that's the average of Texas. But what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit more molecular. We're going to go to McKinney. McKinney property tax rate. All right. McKinney property tax rate. Now we're going to go super quick. Again, our software, I don't know why, but anytime we show homes, whether it's on my website, Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, doesn't like to play nice, so it'll crash it. And also, whenever we go to city websites, they're so dense with information and there's so many, it's just such a heavy website, it crashes it as well. So we're going to dive in here really quickly, get the information that we need, and we're going to come right back out. So we're going to go in ninja style. Let's go. Property tax rate. So remember, just type in property tax rate. All right, so here's what we're looking at. All right, so the total city tax rate is 0.427. So I'm going to do some rough math real quick. McKinney ISD, 1.12. Collin. All right, so the only thing that I'm not seeing here is the hospital. So you might not have a hospital tax. That's cool. So there's 5 components. Let me just add these up real quick. Oh, they do the adding. Great. 1.78. You're going to notice one thing real quick. You're going to notice that the ISD is going to be the highest percentage of property taxes that you're going to be paying. So of these 4, there's technically 5 in many cities, but we're going to talk about that here shortly. 1.78. All right, so y'all remember that, 1.78, and then we'll start doing some math. We're around, you know what, we'll use conservative math anyway. So we'll leave it at that, 1.8. All right, so what was I just talking about? Because that might be a whole mumbo jumbo right now. There's 5 components to property taxes. Now they're all various. Not all cities have this. As you saw there was one that I mentioned. The hospital percentage was not there, and that would be great for you when it comes to property taxes. But there's 5 components in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex for the most part. As you saw, not all of them have the 5, but general rule of thumb, you can expect them. You have the city rate itself. So the city McKinney itself has to pay the bills. So there's property taxes. There's a percentage. Generally, it's 0.4 to 0.7. Generally. So we've done a breakdown on all of the cities in Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex that have at least 10,000 residents in population. So check out the rest of the videos on this channel. So for the most part, that's what you can expect. So about 0.4, 0.7 percent. So you have the city tax. Then you have the county tax. So in this case, Collin County has a tax as well. So you're going to be paying that. You can have the ISD tax. So depending on what ISD you have, McKinney only has one ISD. So you live in McKinney, you have that ISD. But in other cities, like if you live in Garland shares an ISD. So depending on where you live in Garland, you're going to be in another ISD as well, right? So, but generally, rule of thumb, the ISD that you're in is going to be the highest tax that you pay. The 4th component, which you saw here, was higher education tax, which basically was, I think it was they called it Collin Community College. So you're going to be paying for that. And then you're going to typically see a hospital tax. So those are the 5 components. This particular, and McKinney does not have a hospital tax from what we're seeing here. So you're going to be good to go. So property taxes, that's how you calculate them. You just go straight to property taxes, property tax rate in McKinney as an example, like we just did. And you get the property tax right out of the gate. Now, I know I'm going all over the board, but hopefully you can appreciate all of the details that we're going into because this matters. This is the one thing that does not go away. I cannot emphasize this enough. Even when you pay your property off and you think, great, now I don't have a mortgage payment. Well, understand that you have to make a payment. It may not be towards the loan and the interest that you were paying on that loan, but you are paying the property taxes, and that does not go away. Now, there's ways to reduce property taxes. We'll talk about that. Well, actually, we're not going to talk about that today because it's going to be a very long video. There's other videos in this YouTube channel that talk about property taxes, how to reduce them. If you want us to talk about it, just let me know in the chat right now. We can break into it. That's why we do this live. But until then, I haven't heard anything. So just let me know in the chat if you want to get into how to lower your property taxes. Until then, let's keep going. Home insurance. Home insurance, where on average, we're going to put 0.75% for the year. So you see what the monthly insurance bill would look like and also what it would look like per year. So this gives you a good estimate. HOA, the Homeowners Association, since you are going to live in McKinney, chances are you're going to have an HOA, especially if you live in a newer build community. So new homes, about 70% of the new homes have an HOA being sold right out of the gate, right? So if you buy a new home, over 70% of the homes that are being built new have an HOA attached. So chances are you're going to have an HOA, especially if you buy new. I'm not going to touch that today, but just know that from an HOA perspective per year, that's not going to be included in your monthly mortgage payment. That's something you pay at the beginning of the year. So January 1st, you're going to be paying that. For a property of this value in McKinney, you're looking at about $500 to a little bit over $1,000 on a yearly HOA. That's a realistic number to expect. Now, what can you get for it? What are you going to get for that in exchange for that HOA fee? That. No, I'm kidding. I'm not that guy. I think HOAs have their place, and I'm not. Everybody hates HOAs, so I won't add to it. If you like the HOA, it's great. If not, it really doesn't matter. You're paying for it anyway. All right, so here's what we got to do. We're going to add another option. Again, the tools are linked down below so you can follow along. The only thing that you need to change is the numbers specific to your situation. What we're doing right now is we are preparing to make a comparison we're going to compare apples to apples. We're going to compare 3 loans. We're going to compare 3 loans so we understand what it costs, what it's going to cost us, depending on how much down we're putting. It's going to give us the monthly mortgage payment. It's going to give us the total interest that we're going to pay at the end of the loan. It's going to let us know if we're actually going to make money if we sell year 6 or year 15 or year 30. So again, this is linked down below. So you make sure that you check it out. This is a tool that is, I wish it was mine, but I can't claim it. It is a Win the House You Love exclusive that he has allowed us to do these calculations with you. So shout out Kyle Seagraves. You are a hero to us. All right, so what we're doing right now is we're going to compare all loans. We're going to make them conventional. Just understand that you can make an FHA comparison, USDA, VA, jumbo, portfolio loan, everything. You can really do apples to apples comparison here. So for our purposes today, we're going to assume that we're going to put 5% down on simulation 1, even though technically, if you're getting a conventional, the lowest that you can put down in down payment is going to be 3%. That's the minimum. But for our purposes today, we're going to make a 5% down versus a 10% down versus a 20% down breakdown. Okay? Now we're going to assume that it's going to be a 30-year loan because most of the loans, especially right now with the prices being the way that they are and also the interest rates being the way that they are, most of the mortgage payments are done in a 30-year rate, a 30-year length. Now, here's the interest rate. So this is also where we use our friend Google. All you have to do to see what the interest rate is right now for the mortgage is just type in mortgage rate today. Right now, you're looking at the average being 7.62. Now, by the time you're watching this video, this will of course change. Also, this can be changed for the higher or the lower depending on your credit score, depending on a lot of other things. But for the most part, we're going to take the averages here and we're going to say that the cost of our loan is going to be 7.62%. So we're going to do 7.62%. And we're going to do 7.62%. And as you can see, I'm such a fast typer. Don't be jealous. All right, 7.62%. That's what we're going to compare. Depending on when you're watching this video and also your credit score and a lot of other factors, this could go higher, this could go lower. This is going to be the numbers that we're using right now because they are real. Now, points. The reason that points is factored in here is you can compare various loans and various simulations. So as an example, let's just say you wanted to buy a point. When you buy a point, you're essentially buying down the interest rate. So you could pay 1% of the mortgage of the loan that you're getting. Let's just say you're getting a loan of $400,000. If you pay 1% of that, then you can purchase down a point. You can purchase down a certain percentage of the interest rate. So if you're buying points, that's what we mean here. If you're buying points, put that amount that it costs you to buy that point down. For our purposes today, we're assuming no points are being bought. And we're also not integrating the lender fees because they're going to vary all across the board. So that's something that you're going to want to ask your lender. Hey, what are your fees? What's general? What's common? So I can make that calculation on my end. So you see the true cost that this is going to ultimately be for you. Monthly MI, so monthly mortgage insurance. So let's back up for a quick second. We're putting 5% down, 10% down, and 20% down. So we're comparing those 3 scenarios. If you pay less than 20% down on a home, if you pay less than 20% down, again, less than 20% down on a home, you're paying mortgage insurance. In this case, since it's a conventional loan, you're paying what's called PMI, private mortgage insurance. What that means is since you don't have enough equity or you did not put enough down to where the bank feels comfortable saying, hey, it looks like we're taking on the majority of the risk, so we're going to need to charge you an additional interest so we feel a little bit better about ourselves. Because if you put 5% down, that means 95% of the money is coming from us. So we're going to need a little bit of that tip. We're going to need a little bit extra sauce. And that's what this is, the monthly mortgage insurance. Once you start making payments and the home, once your portion of the home, it's called equity, how much you actually own. Once your equity exceeds 20%, the mortgage insurance drops off if you're getting a conventional loan. I know I'm going all over the board. I'm so sorry, but this is important information that I really need to stress, because a lot of folks don't understand this. I didn't understand this, and I put myself in just very terrible situations, and that was just pure ignorance on my part. That was just me not being educated, and it was my responsibility to be educated. I don't blame the lender. I remember his name. I don't blame my realtor, and I also remember his name. He's actually a good friend, Bob. Shout out. You became a mentor. You're awesome. You're great. I don't blame anybody except myself. With that being said, on a conventional loan, once you get past that 20% in equity, your mortgage insurance drops off. If you get a FHA, Federal Housing Authority loan, so FHA loan, the mortgage insurance does not go away. Fun fact. Let's keep going. We're not going to make additional extra payments, and just know that you can, when you're making additional payments, it doesn't have to be a complete payment. Wait a minute. I saw a mistake. There we go. Okay, sorry. It doesn't, any extra money that you can put into your mortgage payment, make sure you apply it to the principal. That way the amount that you're getting taxed on when it comes to the percentage at the end of the month is not as high. So any extra that you have, again, it's extra. Everybody knows their budget at this point. Any extra that you have, throw it towards the principal. You're going to be able to purchase your home down a lot faster. Anyway, so you can make the calculations there. Now, the reason I had to go back and I caught myself was because typically whenever you compare option 1, option 2, option 3, and the way that we do it, 5%, 10%, 20% down, you see that's the only difference between 3. Typically, you save a lot more, especially as the years go by. Right now, you're going to see what happened, what the best loan is in the first 10 years. So let's just say you own this home for 10 years and then you sell it. This is what you're seeing. Now, you can move this and make it a full 30 years and see how much you actually save through the life of the loan. So we can actually do that right now. You went from saving 101 or whatever it was to almost $200,000 now through the life of the loan. You see that putting 20% down saves you $215,000 through the life of the loan. Now, we'll talk about reality here very shortly. I don't want you to get upset, but we'll talk about the reality of this here shortly. The more money that you put down, the less principal that you're paying. Your interest is going to be the same. Your interest rate is going to be the same. Your mortgage interest is going to be the same. But since your principal is smaller, it makes sense. You're not paying as much in mortgage insurance. In interest. And you're going to see what it looks like here right now. So the loan calculation, the loan breakdown, remember, after 10 years, after 10 years, you see the comparison here. How much you would have paid in monthly mortgage insurance. So with conventional one, putting 5% down, you would have paid $40,000, almost $34,000 under the 10% and zero because you don't have mortgage insurance if you do 20% down. Now, how much you would have paid in interest? Again, this is just the first 10 years. How much that it's going to end up being. Now, if you're thinking, what the heck? The property interest. Remember, the first couple payments, the first several years of payments, you're paying substantially more in interest, getting my words tied up. You're paying substantially more in interest than you are in the principal. Substantially more. And you're going to see in the amortization table how that breaks down. So you see the difference here in the conventional 1, conventional 2, conventional 3, what it ends up costing you. Now, the monthly mortgage payment, set in a different way, this is what the monthly payment looks like at year 10. This particular breakdown is going to be the same for the most part. because once you get through the MI, it eventually goes away. So you see here in conventional one, it's $608,000. Oh my gosh, $6,800. And then under scenario 2, you're paying $6,200 on year 10. Now, the reason that this is less than this is obviously because of the principal, but also you're no longer paying mortgage insurance because that 20% threshold of homeowner equity that you now have has surpassed it. So you got rid of the MI after by year 10. So if we're in year 4, notice that you haven't gotten rid of mortgage insurance. You're still paying because you have not paid enough to break that threshold of 20% equity. So long story short, conventional 5% down, you're paying $6,800 for at least the first 10 years each month. On conventional 3, for the most part, you're paying $5,719. Now, what's important to understand here is that this number will go up. This number will also go up. This number will also go up. Well, in this simulation, really not that much because it actually does a really good job of calculating it. But whatever monthly mortgage payment you have in the first year, count on the second year having a true up, having probably a bump in monthly mortgage payment. Because remember those 4 elements: your principal, your interest. That's going to be the same. That's not going to change. But what is going to change is that property tax. And what is going to change is the home insurance, because you're most likely going to be paying more as the years go by. All right, so this gives you the equity breakdown. You see the loan balance versus the principal paid and the amount of equity that you have after 10 years. So after 10 years, you have 17% equity. That's why you're still paying mortgage insurance. After 10 years, if you do 10% down, you've doubled your equity. Now it's 22%. If you put 20% down, after 10 years, you own 30% of that home. And as the years go on, it accelerates because remember, your interest payment, you're paying more towards the interest at the beginning of the loan than you are at the end. It's going to flip over and it's going to accelerate, as you're going to see in the amortization table shortly. Now, here's where we get to reality, and this is what I was alluding to earlier. I get a lot of comments as we've been going through this of, well, Jaime, it's very easy for you to say, well, just do 20% down. For one, I'm not telling you to put 20% down. I'm giving you the scenarios. But I also understand there's a huge difference. I mean, a ridiculous difference between $36,000 and $147,000. That is huge. I recognize that not everybody is in a situation to put 20% down. I fully acknowledge that. I wasn't for the longest time. So, and in some cases, even if I was, I wouldn't necessarily put all of it down, that much down anyway. So back in 2021, when the interest rates were 2, 3, 4%, I wasn't putting 20% down. The interest rates were so low that I feel comfortable putting less down, paying a little bit of PMI, knowing that I was locked in a pretty low favorable rate that was never going to come back again, and I had other places to deploy that capital. So the difference. But anyway, again, I fully recognize there's a huge difference between 5% down, 10% down, 20% down. Giving you the scenarios. I'm not making light of the situation. If you have the budget, great. If you don't have that budget, okay. It is what it is. Just giving you the scenarios. So this lets you know how much the loan is going to end up costing you, right? And this also lets you know roughly when the mortgage insurance falls off. So you see in conventional 2, if you put 10% down, it falls off in 9 years. Now, if you're in the market that we've been in, where it's just been high, and continues to go higher, then the appreciation can come a lot quicker. So instead of it being 9 years, it can be wiped away in 6 and 5 years. But it just depends on the real estate market that you're in. Now we get into the selling and appreciation aspect, which is essentially, did you make money on this purchase? This is going to factor in the appreciation of your home, how much it went up in value just on paper and through the market, how much it's going to cost you to sell, assuming tax increases per year, because as your property continues to go up in value, even if the tax property rate stays the same, well, your assessed value continues to go up. So you're paying that in property taxes. And then the same thing with insurance. So insurance, especially right now, is a bit problematic. You're going to see your premiums continue to rise, and I want you to prove me right. Go to your insurance premium and look at your insurance premium in the next mortgage statement that you get and see how much it costs now versus it cost you 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 8 years ago. There's some insurers that are actually pulling out of entire states. California, very challenging to stay in that market and make a profit from an insurance perspective. Florida, same thing. So you have a lot of major providers that are no longer insuring properties in some states. That just happens. But it's not just a real estate thing. Look at your home insurance. Look at your vehicle insurance. So I have, what do I have? I have State Farm. That's what I have. And I was paying $170 a month. And it's just myself for my vehicle. My latest bill is $250 a month for insurance. So it's not just the real estate home insurance, it's vehicle as well. So this gives you the breakdown of the actual benefit, so the cost of the entire purchase, right? So it gives you, factors in that appreciation, how much it costs to sell, the actual cost of the loan. So essentially your return on investment. So it gives you that comparison of how much it actually cost you, and also gives you a comparison of what that would have looked like if you would have played just straight rent, right? So what this doesn't factor in is the additional expenses like home maintenance, doesn't factor in the repairs that you might need to make throughout the year, because we know that, or throughout the home that you live in that home, because we understand that if you're a homeowner, a major appliance breaks, that's on you. We also understand that if you're renting, major appliance breaks, most likely that's not on you. You can send it over to the landlord. All right, so you have the amortization here. So amortization table, this again goes back to, there's a payment. This is how much is going to the print of that payment. Check this out. Of that payment, almost $5,000. This is how much goes to the principal. So the loan itself is how much you're paying for that loan. So the interest, mortgage insurance. So you see that this is almost substantially, it's tough to get ahead in the first 10 years of, I'm sorry, this is 10 months. In the first several years, right? But as you go further down, you see principal to where eventually after 30 years, praise the Lord, you're a full homeowner. But that property that you bought for $735,000, just from a pure math, from the cost of the loan plus cost of the loan is the interest that you paid. That property is now $1.1 million. It cost you $1.1 million as opposed to $735,000. All right, so with that being said, this is how you break it down. Now, I still have not lost the goal here. Our goal was to find out our salary that we need to buy a home. So that's what we're going to look at right now. All right, so we got to go in here. This tool is linked down below as well. This was called the max price calculator. This max price calculator gives you the ability to input some simple information that only you have access to and see how much you can actually afford in a very precise way. So let's just say we're going to put 5% down. So we've already gone through that scenario, so we understand roughly what that's going to look like from a mortgage payment perspective. Now, interest rate, we were looking at the interest rate, remember, is 7.62, and that's what we used. So we're going to use 7.62. How long is your mortgage? We're going to keep it at 30 years. What's our property tax rate? We agreed that it was less than this, which is 1 point, I think it was 78 is what we calculated. Remember, the city tax, county tax, ISD tax, hospital tax, well, higher education tax, so the community or the college, and then McKinney in this particular space, in this particular breakdown, did not have a hospital tax. So 1.8 insurance rate, we're going to keep it at 0.75%. We're going to assume it's a good credit that we have. Yearly HOA, it's not unreasonable to assume it's an $800 HOA for this type of property. We're not going to worry about the income tax rate for now. And we're going to assume that we make $250,000. This could be single income. This could be dual income. This could be multiple people on the loan. That's what we're going to assume. Now, the following is something that please don't skip, because this will really impact that max price that you can purchase. If you have debt such as car loans, student loans, credit card loans, personal loans, rental property, mortgages, alimony, child support, this type of debt, please add it here. So you just add car loan and put the amount there. Student payment, put the amount there. So it's going to be the minimum monthly payment. And same thing here if you have a co-borrower. So you can, if you have dual income, then just separate this out or just use one. But for our purposes today, we're not going to worry about the debt. You're going to be able to input that on your own. So what we're going to do now, 1.8% in property taxes, home insurance, 0.75, and all this other fun stuff. And we're assuming that we're making $250,000. So now what that means is that we're able to purchase in a conservative manner a property of roughly $620,000. This is going to mean that it's a $30,000 down payment, and this is estimated closing costs, and this what it's roughly going to break down when it comes to the monthly mortgage payment. Now you may be thinking, Jaime, well, that is crap. How can I afford just $620,000? Now, I'm not saying that this is a low number or a high number, but I get that quite a bit because remember, this is a conservative breakdown. You have various scenarios that you can go. If we were going to be ultra conservative and we're going to be ultra safe, your max price should be $550,000 and your monthly payment would be $5,200, which is 33% of your net income. This is if you don't want to take out a loan that makes you starts making you sweat, starts making you feel uneasy because you know how much you're making a month, how much you're taking home a month, and if you're sending a certain percentage of it straight to the mortgage payment, is that going to leave enough for your lifestyle? Is that going to leave enough for your savings? This is a safe breakdown. So this gives you a really good idea of what type of property that you can purchase from a value perspective and roughly what that would mean of your net income. What we just gave you was a conservative risk level. So this means it would be roughly $5,800, and that's 37% of your net income. Now, if you want to get a little bit more aggressive in terms of risk, if you want to hit the moderate, that gets you right on the nose, right over here. Remember, $735,000, that's the property that we're looking to buy. In a moderate risk level, this is what you can realistically pay. Now, for you, you're going to want to come in here and let's just say, okay, what if I made $200,000? Everything else is the same. How much of a property can I purchase then? Well, then on a conservative number, it's a little bit under $500,000. That's the max price that you would pay for a home. That's roughly the payment that you would have, and that would be about 37% of your income. Same scenario. Now, if you want to get a little bit riskier, at a moderate risk, you would be qualifying for $636,000. Now, if you want to get a little bit more aggressive, so the aggressive, and take 60% of your net income and pay towards your property, which you can realistically do. A lender will approve you. Trust me, a lender will approve you. I'm sorry. And this is assuming a $200,000 income. Now, what's going to affect the max price? Well, obviously the income, as you saw, but something else that's going to affect it is the interest rate substantially, right? So let's look at that. So this is a little bit under $500,000. Let's say we're making $200,000 and we're putting 5% down. Well, what happens if we can find a home, or let's just say you buy a new construction home? Let's go into that. New construction homes typically have a builder that is offering a lower mortgage rate. There's various ways that they can do that. We're not going to get into that right now, but let's just say you can realistically get into a home right now today, and I'm giving you a real life example, for 6% down. You can actually get lower than that, but a recent one that just happened to give you an idea. Let's just say we can, don't forget this number because we're going to need this. 493, and remember 636. Well, if we can buy a home for 6% down, at a 6% interest rate, that has gone up. You just got $50,000 more of a pay increase, or not pay increase, purchasing power. That's the word that I'm looking for. And there you can almost get away with buying that $735,000 home because of a 1.6% less mortgage interest rate. That's how powerful it is. So long story short, you can purchase a home. You can purchase a home in McKinney at 5% down, and you'd be on the aggressive side, but you can purchase a home in McKinney for 5% down, making $200,000, and be able to purchase a home for $735,000, which will give you a home that is almost 2,900 square feet, has a decent lot size, has 4 beds, 3 baths. That is how you calculate all of it. So we've gone through the real estate. We've gone through the real estate market in McKinney. We've gone through the various options that you have. You see exactly how the loans are calculated. You saw various scenarios played out in front of you, and you also saw the max price that you can purchase depending on the income that you have, among other things. So if you want access to any of these resources, check out the link down below, which is going to give you access to everything. But if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section, and I will see you on the next one.